Pray with me. O Eternal Father, thank you for this wonderful and glorious day for us to come together and share in a time of worship. I ask that you please, Lord, speak through me. Allow the words that I am about to say be the words that you have intended me to say. I ask that the words that I am about to say be heard as you want them to be heard, Lord. And I ask that you open everyone's minds and hearts, for we are as a church that opens our doors. In thy name, amen. Webster's Collegiate Dictionary defines faith as a belief, trust in, and loyalty to God. I've had to put my trust in God during many difficult times. Believing in God and remaining loyal to Him during these dire moments is an element of your walk with Christ. My walk with Christ first began when I was baptized here in this church by Reverend Goodrich. This was the first strong foundation that I needed to openly profess my faith through the middle and high school years of my life. However, the first time I felt God calling me to talk about my faith was when I was 12 years old. It was my second year at Highland Retreat when I first felt God calling me. Every night, the whole camp would join beside a huge campfire for a time of song and meditation. I always enjoyed this time because I could always feel God's presence around me when we were singing and through our devotionals. After the night's campfire experience, like all other nights, I left with my cabin mates to go get ready for bedtime. As soon as I came running back by the campfire to go to the bathhouse, I noticed a little girl sitting on a log beside the glowing fire. It was at that moment that I felt God's calling. With God telling me to slam on my brakes, He redirected me to her direction. I was not sure what to say to her, but I figured whatever I had to say would be right. I asked her if everything was okay. Her answer still shocks me to this day. She replied with a tear-soaked face, "Why is being a Christian so hard?" This response stunned me. I had just finished confirmation class by Reverend Bennett a few short weeks ago, so I felt that I could help this girl with her simple but yet complex question at the same time. I relied heavily on what I had been taught in confirmation class, Sunday school, church, and from my fellow congregation members. She and I spent close to 2 hours talking about what it means to be a Christian in today's world. Even though I wasn't sure what I was to say to her, I knew all the words would fall into the right place. I knew that what I was saying to her was hitting the right spot. As our conversation progressed, I noticed that her once tear-soaked face turned to become one of promise and hope. When we had finished our conversation, I was amazed at how God worked through me to help another individual. After the week of camp was over, I was never to see this girl again until 4 years later at a Turner Ashby Harrisonburg High School football game. We reunited while standing in line at the concession stand, she ordering a Coke, me ordering a hot dog. She said she owed much of her Christian life to that one night in front of the campfire at Highland Retreat. Hearing what impact I had on her Christian life, to me was a sign of what I was to do with my faith in my high school years. My calling to share my faith openly and often in high school was tested in a very difficult time. Last year, my junior year, was by far the biggest test of my faith in my life. First, we lost our youth director. Nevertheless, this alone was not what was my biggest test. My longtime friend, companion, my grandfather passed away. My grandfather was someone who was proud of everything: family, friends, and more importantly, his faith. In his death, while expected, my life and faith went into a downward spiral. I lost interest in school and other important things. The only force that was keeping me together was my faith. As the old motto says, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. I felt that this time in my life, I followed that motto to a T. This difficult time did not destroy my faith, but instead it made it stronger. It became so strong that I began to witness more openly and frequently at school by leading prayers and worship services, and even being selected to be the student speaker at the baccalaureate service. Witnessing at school has become a wonderful tool of evangelism for me. The feeling that I receive when I see 50 or so sleepy school students before school singing God's name on high is amazing. Now that I know that if I only expose one child to God's love and make he or she feel welcome in that love, is a feeling that I cannot describe. As God's love has always been without absence in my life, so is my family. They have been and will always be a significant part of my walk with Christ. My mother and father have provided me with the best possible guidance, love, and support that a child can receive. I can only dream to one day be half as good as a parent as they are when I have my own children. My brother, even though he beats me on almost every event and sporting thing we've ever done, has been the perfect role model for me. I consider it an honor to call him a friend, confidant, and ally, but most importantly, my brother. The presence of my grandmother is also a wonderful joy in my life. She has always talked openly about her faith with me. She even says that one day I will either make a wonderful politician or preacher. The path that I'm walking on with Christ will next lead me to North Carolina State University. With God's good graces, hopefully we'll be Duke all 4 years that I'm there. Go with that. Sorry, Doug. At State, I'll be majoring in technology education. While there, I hope to turn my walk with Christ into a job or a run. For as I'm entering a new stage of my life, I can only imagine what God has in mind for me. This church and congregation, along with the many sermons that I've collected over 3 years of Doug's preachings, has laid a wonderful foundation for me. I cannot express my thanks and gratitude to each and one of you that is sitting out there today and those that cannot be here. For the rest of my walk with Christ, I know that I will have to continue to have faith, even if there's a big rock in the middle of the road. In this faith, I know that if I continue to stay the course, I will one day enter the kingdom of heaven and achieve eternal glory. Thank you, and may God bless you. Amen.